All right, what's up, everybody? Get started here. I'm gonna go ahead and shuck some oysters today. What we'll be doing is shucking some of these old salts, and I'm gonna be shucking some of these old salts right here. So I'm gonna be making some ceviche with them. So open them up and get them on there, and just start shucking away. Try to get about 6 or 7 of them on there. Put out a poll earlier on my channel as well, asking for people. Is this on the right one? Asking for people to go ahead and tell me some things that they would want to see cooked up, and I got some recommendations, and I'll be making those as well. So make sure you follow those recipes too. So like I said, today what we're going to do is we're just going to shuck these up. Now, I love my toadfish oyster knife right here, which is great. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I shuck at the back at the hinge here. Some nice pressure there, and I'm going to shuck these and not leave them in the shell itself. I'm actually going to take them out and put them in those jars behind me, and then make ceviche with lime and stuff like that. It's a new recipe to me. I saw it somewhere, and I thought it'd be good to try it. You can see that's a pretty oyster right there. Sure, if you have any questions or anything like that about the oysters I have or the recipe I'm doing, give me a comment, and I'll be happy to ask as I'm shucking. Got a bucket between my feet here that I'll use to put the shell in. Now, I love these farm-raised oysters just because they have so much liquor, so much water inside of them. It's really nice. You can get a ton of water out of it. For those not familiar, the way you shuck oysters is, I'll start from the top again here, but it's really not that hard once you get the hang of it. And you got to have like a good knife too. I really like this kind of knife. But what you're doing is basically just trying to separate it from the shell so it slides right out. And if you're saving for a recipe, make sure you save that liquor as well, that part there. All right, so what you're doing when you're shucking an oyster is you're taking your knife and you're finding that hinge. So you're going in this spot right here, and it's about even pressure, and you just are wiggling it back and forth until it opens. And you can see right there, I just kind of pried it. And then what I do is I turn my knife sideways. That one actually broke. You can see there, that's a thin shell. And sometimes that'll happen too. So you got to take that top shell or that muscle off there and cut it. I got sloppy quick. These farm-raised oysters can be like that. Yeah, that was a little bit sloppier for sure. But since it's going in ceviche and I'm cutting up, I'm not too worried about it. All right, going in again like that. That one makes it, this little part on here kind of makes it tough to be able to really get my knife in, but you go right for the side there. Okay, so then you separate it like that. What you're looking for is this muscle that's right here. You want to take this part of the knife right there. You almost want to slice it as close as you can to the top. So you get it back in there, slice it close to the top, and you can see you have a nice oyster right there. Sorry that was out of frame there, but there's a nice oyster right there. Make sure you're dropping those comments for me so I know if you have any questions. Loosen it up, and in it goes. So we'll do 3 or 4 more of these old salts. They're going to be good just because, in the ceviche, just because they are saltier, and I think that'll taste well with it. So I think I'm going to do 12 old salts in the ceviche, and then we'll do, I don't know, maybe a few more because I'm going to do some oysters Rockefeller as well. This one's going to be hard to shuck. I can tell right away. See how like flaky that shell is and stuff like that? I have a feeling this one's going to break on me, but we'll see. When they start to break, you really got to get that first jab in there, right? So there we go. We got that in there. And then running that right along the top. That's how you do it right there. Nice clean cut. And you can see nothing on the other side of it. Just nice oyster. Run that knife there again. And into the jar for our ceviche. That's 6. Yeah, that was a nice one there. See, we turn it like that. And then get the knife in. Slice it along the top. Nice clean oyster. Slide it in there. I've always wanted to do like the professional oyster shucking, but I'm way too darn slow for that, and I think I'm too dirty too. I got too much grit in my shells and stuff like that. But maybe one day, maybe that should be my goal, is try out for that circuit one day. We have the U.S. National Oyster Shucking competition down here in Southern Maryland, so it's always cool to see how fast they can go. I think they did 12 oysters in about 4 minutes and some odd seconds. I'm at 7, and I'm already at 5 minutes and 37 seconds. So that was actually the wrong oyster there. Let's go get some more old salts. So in a second here, we'll put some other stuff in for the ceviche. You can see right away. See how that shell just flaked right there? That's what makes it kind of a harder oyster to shuck sometimes. So what you want to do again is just kind of find that opening. You can see right about there is where you want it. So get it kind of down at a good angle. This is going to be a tough one. Give it a spin, or a little twist there. See, I popped it up. Run my knife along the top. Opens right up every time. Loosen it up. Shells going there. I take all these shells, so that's kind of a weird one. Look at this. This is actually right here. If you look, this is an oyster right here that's grown on top of it, and this is an oyster here. So there's actually 2 oysters here. I'm going to prove it to you. Ready? Hopefully I don't cut my hand trying to get this skinny oyster off here, but there's an oyster that grew on top of this oyster. And that's what happens on oyster. Ooh, almost got my fingers. But that's what happens on top of oyster reefs. You can see right there. They grow on top of each other. And that's what makes oyster reefs so big. You can see I almost got my thumb, but I didn't. I guess that's why I should always be wearing gloves. I always forget them, but I won't be doing that again. We'll make sure we keep our hands kind of clear of it. Okay. Getting that thing in there. The key is not to have too much pressure when you're doing it either. If you're really jamming it in there, you're risking, jamming the knife into your hand. I've had a few different instances where I really got my hand caught pretty good in there. Cutting that muscle, putting it in. I say we're at about, we're right about there. We'll do 1 or 2 more of the old salts, and then I'll shuck a few of the other ones I'm going to use for fried oysters. I got a request for gluten-free fried oysters, and I'm going to do those tomorrow as well. I'll probably do it live, just like today. You can see that one's flaking again. See how it's flaky? Put it back down on the ground, or on the tray, just because I was stabbing myself almost. But there we go. Nice twist. Cutting it. Nice and pretty. These are Rappahannock River oysters. So if you actually want them, the really nice thing about it, I know I'm lucky because I actually live right on the water. I'm actually right out there is the water and stuff like that. So I can get fresh oysters pretty quickly and pretty easily. But if you're someone that doesn't live on the Chesapeake Bay or near the Chesapeake Bay, the Rappahannock River Oyster Company, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. They'll deliver these right to your door. I got them next day via UPS, I believe, and they came nice and fresh. Everything smelled great, So I highly recommend them. Again, that's Rappahannock River Oyster Company. I'll put the description the link in my description just so you guys have it. But if you're someone that can't find those fresh oysters, or maybe you're going to like Whole Foods or somewhere like that where they're astronomically expensive, these Rappahannock River oysters can be really a good option. I got 50 oysters for about I think it was $50, so $1 an oyster, and then it was about $25 for the shipping. All right, so we're going to go ahead and let's put in our ingredients for the ceviche. Now, you can see down there, I got my mason jar. All right, so now you can see down there, I got my mason jar right there, and we're just going to add a few different ingredients to it. Now, of course, ceviche, you're going to use some sort of citric, so I got some lime juice. It's about 3 or 4 limes. I'm going to put in my cilantro, because I love me some cilantro. So cilantro in there too. Tomato. For this ceviche. And then we're going to top it off. I actually got some onion here, but I soaked it before I put it in, so I got to take it out of there. And then about a quarter cup of onion. I'm going to wipe off my oyster knife since it's what I have. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. And this is going to be my oyster ceviche. Now, when I make this, when I do serve it up, what I'll do is I'll serve it up on chips, or actually we'll serve it back up in the shell sometimes too. And you put a jalapeno or something like that, some sort of pepper on top. I mean, it's hard to be beat. It's hard to beat this kind of stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna let that marinate. You can let it marinate for as little as 7 minutes or so. I like it a little bit longer. You can see it just all that deliciousness there. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up these oysters now. I'm going to shuck up about a dozen or so for my fried oysters tomorrow. So we'll put them in this jar here. Let's go ahead and shuck them up. And we're going to do these Rochambeaus. They're a little milder, more like the traditional oyster that you think of when you're getting them at restaurants and stuff like that. So we'll shoot for about a dozen of them. And then we'll call this the end of our live. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12. And these will keep pretty well. So I got about another dozen of each kind, of each flavor. And they'll keep really well too. So I'll put them back in the fridge. I got them on a bed of ice or ice packs. And I'll probably use them tomorrow. I'll probably eat some raw tomorrow too, just because it's always delicious. All right, let's get our knife all clean. And we're going to shuck them and just put them in here and save them for later. There's one of them flaky oyster shells again. They make it tough, man, I'm telling you. And you can see it gets that crust in there too, that flakiness. But it will be all right. That one didn't have much liquid in it. Any liquor in it, really. All right, but we'll keep rolling here. That's a funky one right there, how it's kind of like turned up like that. Flaking again, see? You can see that one's just flaking all types up. Sometimes when that happens, you got to kind of go at a different angle. So I'm going to try going right here. Let's see if that helps it out. There we go. See? So I just got to change the angle of attack sometimes there. Problem is when it gets that flaky, you get more grit in the shell and everything like that. These are going to be fried, so I'm not too worried about it. I can normally get some of that off when I'm getting them ready to be fried. So these oysters are a little less deep cupped than the old salts I did last time. And sometimes they flake off so much, you almost break off that back part like I did there. It works a lot better. All right, still rolling with these. These ones are definitely a little harder to shuck than the other ones. They're definitely a little more flaky, but they're still going pretty well. I'm excited to fry them up tomorrow. Tomorrow's are going to be gluten-free too, so I got to eat gluten-free. I actually am allergic to barley and malt, and so everything that I make on here, for the most part, is going to be gluten-free. There we go. That was a nice tight one there. Run that right along. Just keep rolling along with these. We got about 4 more we're going to go through. And like I said, we'll stop for today. And what we'll do is tomorrow, we'll fry these suckers up after. Fry these guys up. Go ahead. These guys keep breaking on me, so I'm going to keep it down on here. I don't want to jab a knife through my hand and have to go into the deal with that kind of stuff right now. Go ahead and just keep working. We'll just keep them down on here. Got about 3 more left. You have to check back in with me tomorrow and see what this gluten-free fried oysters is all about. I'm curious to know how many people are eating gluten-free now. I've been gluten-free for about, I don't know, 7 years. I guess no, really, my son's going to be 11, so about 10 years I've been gluten-free now. And there's a whole bunch more stuff you can eat. But as far as fried food, it's one of those things, if you're not getting it at home, it's really tough to find good fried gluten-free food out. So most of my stuff I make that's gluten-free, I'm making at home. You can see I got myself a little bit there on my hand. All right, last oyster, and we're going to call it a day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me shuck them. Tomorrow I'll definitely be wearing a glove so I don't get stabbed. Luckily I didn't get hurt from it. I thought I got a cut on there, but it doesn't look like anything. Just a little tiny one there. All right, that's our last one. Make sure, like I said, if you can, follow me live tomorrow. I'm going to shuck some more of these guys for some fried oysters and some oyster Rockefeller. But also watch my videos, watch my shorts, and I'd be happy to teach everything I know about the Chesapeake Bay, including making sure when you're using one of these, you really should either be using a towel to protect your hand or a knife too. Rookie mistake on my part. So, all right, guys. See you later.